folks. It's Dane at JONAH Guitars. Hey, I'm just out in the shop Sunday afternoon. Well, Sunday almost 5 o'clock Sunday night. I just want to catch up on a few things. I won't be posting any more videos until after Thanksgiving, so I thought I'd just do a quick one here. Anyway, so you remember the vise. Let me direct this down a bit. Right, so the vise. I obviously didn't wait for my pad that I ordered to come. This isn't what I ordered. This is something I already have. It's working great, actually. The advantage is I don't have to worry about it getting misaligned and things like that when I put the new one in. Solid 1/8 inch rubber is what's going back in. Anyway, so this is clamped, and it doesn't have much pressure on the clamp. You can't see that one. It doesn't really have much pressure on the clamp at all. You can see here it's just barely putting any pressure on here, but this is solid, especially with this rubber in here. It's really gripping. So I went ahead and did the mortise here. I've got to turn you back up now. Okay. I went ahead and did the mortise on top here, and where's that neck? Oh, there's that neck. I got two different necks going on here. So anyway, I decided to, I'm waiting on parts or on heaters for another job I'm working on. Wire cutter heaters for the neck reset. Anyway, this is, this thing is solid. You can't, of course, feel it, but I have no motion whatsoever, and it won't, I mean, it'll bottom out if I push on it. So I'll probably have to actually sand the sides of the tenon a little bit to get it to where I can floss it. And it's pretty close right where it's at. This isn't any sort of a how-to video, but before I actually try to fit this to the body, I'll undercut right up next to the mortise, the tenon here, so that you have very little wood that you're actually removing, but with the sandpaper flossing it. So anyway, I'll explain that when I actually do it. But so this neck is kind of in that position. I'm thinking about making, well, I'm going to use a piece of maple, and I'm going to use the same template thing I've been using. I kind of sidetracked myself here, didn't I? This just clamps on through the sound hole. It has a little thing here that you can center it with, helps center. So you mark your center lines on the face, on the sound hole down here, and down on the end of the guitar, and you're able to go in and clamp this thing on each side just exactly where it needs to be, and then run the mortise. Now the other side, I'm going to go ahead and clamp a piece of maple in here and run it just like I was running the mortise on the neck, the tenon on the neck rather. You might be able to tell the wood was a little precious, so I wasn't sure how long the tenon was going to be, and I thought 1/2 inch, but I decided to go ahead and go 5/8, so got a little step here. That's not going to hurt anything at all. Yeah, so trying to save myself from having to cut into an entire another neck blank to do the heel. So that's what that's about. So I'm going to mortise cut a piece of maple that will act as a mortise, and then I'm going to drill the holes in the center of that. Then I'll be able to slide that piece of maple in here and use it as a guide, a drilling guide. I like drilling guides. As you can see, this is the slot head template I made, and I think I probably have video on this, although I don't think I've posted it yet. This is happening right now. Some of this stuff that I will post later, is just part of the processes, and I just haven't been keeping things in order. But anyway, once I have this on, and then I shape the outside of the peg head, then I screw this clamp on here, and that screws onto the template, and then I'm able to drill my holes through. And you want to drill your holes through before you mortise all the way through here, otherwise you blow the holes out on this one side as you're going through to drill the inside of the holes. I had already made a pass over here, I forgot, and then it dawned on me that I really needed to do this first. But I'm getting perfect hole location and alignment every time, and any more of these that I ever make, I'll just use this template and this this guide. So I thought about making a guide here. The thing is, this is 1/4 inch thick. 1/4 inch thick steel would probably do it, but I want it to help me guide my bit straight in, so it's square to the hole and to the mortise. I don't know if anybody's. I'm just talking now. I don't know if anybody has ever thought about it or run into an issue, and I guess there's different fields of thought on this, different schools of thought on this. I'm planning on using the inserts that just go straight in into the end of the tenon here, and then bolts that come up through the body, through the neck block, and straight into that. Now, if there was a large amount of angle on this neck, and you drill these in square to the neck, and you drill these in square to the body, you might actually have an alignment problem with the bolt going in. It could be solved easily by just over drilling the holes in the body, oversizing those holes. A lot of people, I think, deal with that by putting the inserts through. It's like a connector bolt. They drill a hole here and they slide a bolt hole through there, and then you run a screw into it that way. But this pin that has the hole in it will actually pivot. So if you were having an alignment issue, you could put your bolt in there and then turn the pin to where it lines up best and install it that way. So anyway, but I don't think that there's going to be a severe enough angle on this that it will be an issue. Okay, that's where I'm at right now with this. So like I said, this is right now. And so I'm going to do today, I'm going to go ahead and take this back off of here. Go ahead and finish going through the peg head with the slots, and then I'm going to do the tenon on this neck. And I just cut this neck down. These were 4 inches wide, so when we go back to the other videos, previous videos that I recorded, you will see them just being these massive 4-inch wide blocks. Very, very funny looking. All right, I'll set up again. I'll go back over to another area here, and then we'll run this router down in here. Now I already put some clearance holes through here, so that when I drop my router into the hole, I just hold it in the middle of the hole when I start it, so it's not grabbing. I'm not trying to set a running router down into this hole and having to worry about nicking up the template. All right, so I've got this in my parrot vise over just on the other corner of the bench. This is actually right where I was before. I head over to the new vise, so it's very close. It's a very small shop actually, and the router is already set up for the first pass, and then so I'm going to put it on the other side. I'm going to run it down into that hole I drilled. Just going to center it up by feel and then hold on to the router gauge just in case it's not exactly not touching something. Plus this is a slow start router. Really slow start. So just leave it centered in between the template while it's spooling down so that you don't accidentally get little chunk marks next to it. I'm not going to hold you for the whole thing here. What I do want to show you or mention, just in case you're not really familiar with router work, so the cutter is rotating in this direction. Get down in the camera here. In this direction, rotates like that. So the cutter is happening as you push this way. The cut is pulling into the side of the work. So you want to start, I'm in the hole, like I said, just push it away from you into that outside of the template, and then just follow it around, and it's going clockwise. I guess I never really stopped to think about that, but yeah. So, and then the reason I take a second pass is twofold, just to clear the chips out. Plus, if I wiggled for some reason and didn't get a clean pass, I can just go back and clean it up, but mainly just to throw the chips out. All right, now that was a cool camera angle. I ought to get a sub out of that one. Somebody sub me for that. I got sawdust all over my camera. Anyway, let's back it up a little. That's what it looks like with the holes through it. All right. Click subscribe, like, share. Again, not a tutorial, just thought I would share some of this footage with you. I'm changing the elevate mortise and tenon thing around again. So basically, I know that it works in the middle hole now once I first set it up. You can't see that. Anyway, the middle hole. And so I'm just going to slide this down to this end, to the middle hole, and it'll set it up for doing the actual tenon part of it. I just did the mortise in the body, which I showed you earlier. I think this is pretty square and level, but I really turned the camera on before I was paying much attention. So, oh. Did you notice I have this in the new vise? Where it doesn't have the radiuses, it still has some flats on the ends, so it's clamped in there very, very sturdily. All right, and so that is going to end up being just like that. Now, oddly enough, you're supposed to set an angle on this thing. And when I had the other guitar neck and the body together, I just kind of mocked them up. And they looked very close. And to tell you the truth, when I put it together, once I had it mortised, it is very close, so I don't have very much to do to get that neck angle perfect. So I'm very lucky, I guess is the correct word. I don't know if I have actually filmed any of this process yet. Obviously I did it on the other neck. Don't know if I filmed it. This is a 1/4 inch pin. It's too wide for this truss rod. The other neck has a 1/4 inch wide truss rod in it, and this neck had the StewMac truss rod. So that's the 1/4 inch one, and this is the StewMac one. So the StewMac is a little bit deeper, but it's narrower, and it fits right in that slot there. So anyway, with this Elevate jig, you can get a 1/4 inch pin, which helps center the template or jig in, or you get these little centering pins, which do the same thing, right? So that's what I'm going to be using. And I've got this tight now, so pretty much See under here, I'm sliding this pin in, and that's going to center me right up on the truss rod slot. So even if your truss rod slot's off a little bit, your tenon and everything will center itself right to it. Okay, that's not rocking. So this is kind of a one-hand paper hanger kind of a trick here. Yeah, so I'm going to do something different here. Alright, just want to make sure that these things are indeed centered up in the truss rod slot. And then I've got my thumb holding this together pretty tight right now, so nothing should move while I work this clamp into position. Okay, I think we stayed. I like the notch, I like the pin that has the, definite size on it, but with this narrower truss rod, I'm having to settle for these. The other thing that this has on it is this flap right here. There's an offset on this, and it centers in the truss rod as well. So you could theoretically use the one pin and an eyeball center on the truss rod slot, but I don't need to because I got the extra pin. And the extra hole. So originally, this just had one hole in it, and I saw Bo Hannum using it, demonstrating this elevator Lutherie jig, and he had them drill an extra hole in, and he said for pennies you could have an extra hole drilled in. So when I ordered mine, I said, yeah, go ahead and drill that extra hole in and give me an extra pin, and for pennies, which turned out to be $63 or something. I don't know what kind of pennies Bo has, but yeah, and eyeballing everything, it looks really good. So, but I don't consider $60-something pennies. But if you're going to pop for the money for the thing anyway, then get it to where it's really functional for what you're doing with it. Alright, so now this thing is clamped on here super tight. I can see my line, if you can see my thumbnail down in there, maybe not. Oh, well, anyway, see my thumb? Right down here is the line where the depth of my cut is at. I'm going to turn the camera off for a second, just make sure that I've got the appropriate angle here. I'm going to check the other neck and just see what it's at, and then I'm going to set this one the same. And that will make an assumption that the body I build for the next one's going to be identical, which it probably won't be. So, but hey, I'm doing stuff. Got to keep moving. All right, so I checked the other neck, and it was pretty much exactly 90 degrees, and this was not. So I reset it. I set this at 90 and reset it on everything. So it's actually this hill was sloping down a little bit that way, but now this platform is raised up. It's good and solid. Another thing that Bo recommended, and I do this on a lot of things, like my little 3/8 cutter. You can see I've got 3 bearings. You may not be able to see that there's 3 bearings, but there's actually 3 bearings stacked on that. And Bo suggested using more than 1 bearing on this. This is a white side cutter that Elevate recommends, and I have other white side cutters I'm really happy with, so I went ahead and bought one for this. I don't like to have less than 1 bearing. I don't think you could see that. Yeah, less than 1 bearing on the template. Some people, I've heard them say something about riding half a bearing. Make sure you have at least half a bearing. That scares me. But I am taking it just a fuzz deeper cut than I would want to. But I ordered some more bearings, and they just haven't gotten here yet. Ordered the bit, and it got here like in 2 days. And the bearings, I guess, are coming from somewhere else. And they've been on order for, I'm going to say 2 weeks, possibly 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fire it up and plunge in there. I think I'm actually going to start on the outside edge and work my way into the middle. This is not down to size yet, so it would have to be a pretty significant blowout to affect anything. I did the previous one actually with it full width, so I had a lot of meat to cut off of that one. That's why I went ahead and sized this one down a bit. All right, I'm going to go here now. Real quick, what am I cutting? I'm taking about 1/4 of an inch, and this is a brand new bit, and it's mahogany, so I don't think we're going to have any issues with that. Funny thing is, when I was using my old wore out cutter, I wasn't getting, the last time I didn't get any little aluminum shavings. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little shaving right there on my finger. I've got those all over my table now. So my cutter is probably just exactly the same size as the bearing, and so I'm just shaved that a little tiny bit when I went around. Did the same thing on the mortise when I cut that, but now it's the same size, so it's not going to cut any more. This cut got a little hairy. Yeah, you can't really see that, but it splintered out a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to climb cut it instead of, having the router spin that way. I'm just going to be coming back the other way, which is backwards for the router, but I'm not going to go deep enough that I won't have to worry about it digging in. One other thing I wanted to mention about this jig is that you have these screws right here, which once you measure your guitar body, or you come back up off the bottom, the back of the guitar body, in a 1/4 inch or so. It's more like 5/16. Oh, I'm not in the camera yet. I'll get there. And then you just make a mark, you measure that, and that's what you're going to set from the top of your neck down to the bottom of your radius here. So you get that set, and then once that's set, you can flip-flop this jig like you saw me do. So you just change the end of the jig and where the holes go in, and it just keeps it keeps that relationship between the depth of the tenon and the depth of the mortise the same. So once you've set that for whatever guitar you're doing, you can do both your mortise and your tenon, or vice versa, and you won't have an issue. I think this jig is a winner, very much so. Let me show you this neck. All right, so there's your mortise right there, or your tenon, excuse me, and down to, I don't know if we'll be able to get that in the camera or not. You see the little line right here? It's actually still there, just barely still there. So I'm right on my 14th or my 12th fret, excuse me. That's right where the body meets the neck, or neck meets the body, right on 14. I'll say it wrong twice in a row. 12th fret. 12th fret, slot head, triple O. Yeah, times 2. All right. I might bring you back in if I make the little plug for the drill guide for the end of the body. All right, so I have a couple of these bolt-on neck kits that I told you before that I bought a bunch of stuff from a guy that was basically going out of business. He's quitting building guitars. And so I looked on the paperwork they send with these. These are from Luthier's Mercantile, actually. Okay. But they didn't give me any kind of dimensions. So I do have the plan for this guitar, so I measured the plan. from the top of the neck or the top of the body minus the fretboard, top of the neck minus the fretboard. 1.25 down and then 2.5 down. And so that's, I have a couple lines on here. See those? Yep. So now I got to do is find center and actually drill them on center. That's always the hardest part. That's why I started making jigs. One of the reasons I started making some of these jigs out of just steel, because if you, and I'll use the same kind of bit on the, this ended up being oak, not maple. You use a centering bit and you punch it good, and then it'll pull and keep you centered where you drill at. The only other way to be absolutely perfect is to, if you have a milling machine and you put it in the vise and you rotate the thing exactly where you want, in or out and back and forth, to be exactly dead set on your call out, you know. So I'm going to find center on this, and I didn't, you know, after I set it on camera, I thought about it. There's no reason to use a mortising jig and stand a piece of wood up in the vise and mortise out this exact thing. This is just a stock width of oak here. Must have been playing down a little bit because it does slide into here fine. It's not, it's got a itty bitty bit of wiggle room. I bet you if I put a piece of tape on it, I wouldn't even have, it wouldn't go in. So that means it's less than 5 thousandths of wiggle. Let me try it. Get all the dust off my tape. Anyway, I'm just doing this to amuse myself. You may not be amused. Okay. Actually, it's right on 5 thousandths of wiggle. So I'll just leave the tape on there. So, all right, got those holes laid out and drilled. Up there somewhere, yep. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to drill these right this second. What I am going to do is, got a little fuzz in there, I'm going to go online and see if I can find a drill bushing. I can put a, you know, get a 3/8 by with a 1/4 inch inside hole drill bushing. Otherwise, this will get wiped out relatively quickly. Although, yeah, I'm only doing 2 right now, but I'd rather not build this every time. And I'm just doing this because I really like consistent holes, and to lay them out and freehand them down in this pocket probably wouldn't end up being perfect. And I kind of like perfect. So, yeah. So when I am gonna drill these, I will just take a clamp like so, lay it here. You see this was left it a little bit long, and so it's not going anywhere. Pop the holes through, then put the neck in, either transfer punch or a you know, some sort of just a brad point drill bit, even just stick it up in there and just tap it in and mark the ends of the tenon. Then I can drill the tenon. And I'm going to get a doweling jig to do that with, so that the doweling jig sits right, clamps right on there, and then you just use the, you know, the doweling jig has a guide bushing in it, and you can drill those holes perfectly with that, and then you can even put the inserts in with it, which is good because you clamp the side of the tenon here. These things tend to want to split out when you drill them in, because there's a lot of force on that. You might have noticed that if you've ever put inserts into a Telly or Fender style neck. They're right on the edge of the maple, and that maple wants to split if you don't have it in a vise holding things together. So anyway, the doweling jig will automatically take care of it. I'm sitting here pointing at the end of this neck, and it's not even in camera. So anyway, the doweling jig would go over that, and then you would just drill right in. And also the insert, it would clamp the sides of the tenon to support it while you're actually driving the insert in. So that's that. All right, I think that's it. It seems like my camera kept going long enough to finish this up. Hey, so this is kind of all over the place. It's just what was happening right now in the shop today. Just had a few wild things I wanted to, a few random things I wanted to finish up before I leave. I'm going away for a while. Anyway, that's it. That's really it. happy with that. Happy with everything, actually. So had a good afternoon in the shop. A couple hours out here, and put the guitar up in the air here. It just hangs up there. All right. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Especially if you stuck to the end with all the yammering and stuff that is sort of related but not completely related. Anyway, yeah, appreciate it. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll be back after Thanksgiving with another video. Take care.